Welcome to the Herb Man T podcast. I am your host, Herb Man T.
Spectate. Feeling real good.
All right. If you wanted to if you want to support the podcast, head over to patreon.com. That's patreon.com/herbmant. Patreon.com/herbmant to support the podcast. Now, today's topic is going to be about the endocrine system, smoking, depression, high blood pressure, as well as diabetes. So smoking, depression, high blood pressure, diabetes, those are coming from the questions I have received. But first off, the endocrine system. Now, the endocrine system deals with your hormonal problems. It consists of the hypothalamus, the pituitary gland, thyroid, parathyroid, adrenal glands, and much more, even your thymus too. One could consider the heart an endocrine gland as well. Trying something new today with these tabs I have open here. Now, the endocrine system is made up of several organs called glands. These glands are located all over your body. They create and secrete hormones. So understand endocrine system, hormones, hormone imbalance, focus on the endocrine system as a whole, not just one particular organ or one particular gland in the endocrine system. Now, hormones affect nearly every process in your body, including metabolism, growth and development, emotions and mood, for fertility and sexual function, sleep, and blood pressure. Now, whenever you're dealing with a metabolism problem, sugar metabolism, calcium utilization issue, you want to focus on the adrenal glands for sugar metabolism as well as the pancreas for sugar metabolism. And if you're having a calcium utilization issue, you want to focus on the parathyroid. But keep in mind, again, always holistic. So in terms of which herbs to use for the endocrine system or for the parathyroid, adrenal glands, or even endocrine part of the pancreas, you want to focus on all the glands in the endocrine system. At the least, when you want to bring balance to the endocrine system. So growth and development, you want to focus on the pituitary gland. A great herb for the pituitary gland is chaste berry. Emotions and mood, you want to focus on the adrenal glands. Great herbs for the adrenal glands are your adaptogens such as ashwagandha root, astragalus root, as well as holy basil, also known as Tulsi. Fertility and sexual function. So even though that's a part of the reproductive system, anytime you're running into reproductive issues, you want to make sure you're focusing on the endocrine system as well. So again, you want to observe the herb known as chaste berry, also known as monk's berry, because it sends luteinizing hormone and your follicle stimulating hormone down to the reproductive system to bring balance to it or to help get it through the reproductive cycle. I have licorice root in my mug, and the sweetness has hit me. It's starting to pump me up. All right, for sleep, you want to look at your relaxant nervines, such as your passion flower or your skull cap, to help relax the nerves, to help you get better sleep. Also, you want to bring nutrition and blood to that area. So any type of sleep issue, you definitely want to make sure you have herbs like ginkgo leaf, gotu kola, rosemary, helping bring circulation up into the central nervous system or into the brain area. And then blood pressure. Anytime you're dealing with blood pressure, you got to make sure you're focusing on the adrenals as well as the kidneys. And think sometimes you could have high blood pressure because the arteries are being constricted due to fat buildup in the artery walls because of high levels of stress. And most of us know that cortisol, an adrenal gland hormone, is also known as the stress hormone. So those adrenals are being worked or overstimulated to a degree where now you have a lot of fats being built up on the artery walls or just anywhere in the interstitial spaces, but the waste is not being moved out fast enough. So now the system that's responsible for moving out your fats is known as the lymphatic system. So what happens is your kidneys become weak. The lymphatic system stops filtering out your waste. Now it's more difficult for fats to be removed from the body because the lymphatic system is responsible for moving these fats out. The fats become difficult to move out and then they get stuck. I'm going to raid you one of these Twitch streamers. What does that mean, raid you? What does that mean, raid you? Yeah, Mike Black, I see your question. I'm going to add it to my list. I'm going to add it to my list and talk about it in a later episode. I may end up mentioning kidney herbs for this episode, considering that I was just talking about blood pressure. So as a matter of fact, I actually was going to mention some kidney herbs. It's only right that I do. Yeah, so when dealing with the kidneys, you want to focus on diuretics. So you have stimulating diuretics, you have soothing diuretics. So on one end, you can focus on, or you can use herbs like corn silk or couch grass or even marshmallow root to help bring balance to the kidneys. And then you have kidney tonics such as your he shao wu or he shu wu, also known as foti, as well as your cordyceps mushroom that could help to tone and strengthen the kidneys. So understand the metabolism, growth and development, emotions and mood, fertility, sexual function, sleep, blood pressure. You want to bring balance to the endocrine system as a whole and not just focus on one particular gland. And if this is your first time joining the podcast, you always want to focus on the lymphatic system and just detox your body in general. Always bring in nutrition and move out that waste. Now to talk a little bit more about the endocrine system. So the boss of the endocrine system is your hypothalamus gland. It tells the pituitary to inhibit its release of hormones as well as to secrete hormones. Under the hypothalamus, you have the pituitary gland. And the pituitary gland releases about 9 hormones. Hormones going to the thyroid, parathyroid, thymus, adrenal glands, as well as the pancreas, the endocrine part of the pancreas, and the ovaries, as well as the testes. Now, you also have a gland behind the hypothalamus, the pineal gland. The pineal gland is responsible for sending light signals to the pineal gland that deals with your sleep-wake cycle or your circadian rhythm. So the hypothalamus gland plays a role in the pineal gland's function as well as the pituitary gland's function. And a great herb to help support the hypothalamus gland's function would be schisandra berry and licorice root. Merced, thanks for the roses. Much appreciated. Now, a great herb for the pineal gland that I found is, based on traditional uses, is blue lotus. It's been used throughout history to help stimulate the pineal gland. And as I mentioned earlier, a great herb for the pituitary gland is chase tree berry, also known as monk's berry. And then the thyroid. So the thyroid deals with stimulating metabolism as well as promoting growth and development. And so does the pituitary gland. So if you're having a problem with growth and development, it could be a thyroid issue, it could be a pituitary gland issue. So instead of playing the guessing game, just bring balance to the pituitary gland, focus on the hypothalamus, focus on the thyroid. And depending on if the thyroid is hyper or hypo, would determine which herbs you could use. So if it's hyper, you may want to bring down the thyroid's function. You could do that with herbs such as lemon balm. And if it's hypo, if the thyroid is hypo and you want to speed up its function or increase its function, you can introduce herbs such as bladderwrack. And then you have the parathyroid. The parathyroid is responsible for calcium utilization. So when dealing with the ways that the body can combat stress. You have the body stripping itself of calcium. You have the body creating cholesterol to help cushion the arteries or cushion the joints in preparation for stress. And also you have edema or water going to certain areas to help combat a level of acidosis or bring balance to the body so that it can exist in a state of acidosis, which you don't want. So you have edema, water building up, and that's usually from the kidneys or even from the hypothalamus and the pituitary gland secreting its antidiuretic hormone, telling the body to retain water. But you have a kidney, the kidneys responsible for the fluid buildup. You have the adrenal glands in the liver being responsible for the fats. And then also you have the parathyroid for the calcium utilization, or the body beginning to leach or steal calcium from its connective tissues so that it can combat a state of acidosis that has been created due to improper food consumption. Improper food consumption. I think that's going to be the the combination of words I use instead of diet. Improper food consumption. That flows nice. So, and then you get things like varicose veins. What is it? Varicocele. Basically varicose veins in the scrotum. Things like depression, no energy, don't want to do nothing, angry, mean, because your body just doesn't have the calcium. And then the adrenal glands deals with regulating your blood pressure, your sugar metabolism, and also the masculine style of hair growth, sex drive, etc. So again, a recap of the herbs. So pituitary gland, chaste tree berry, hypothalamus glands, Cassandra berry, pineal gland, blue lotus, the thyroid, it could be lemon balm or bladderwrack. The adrenal glands, you have a astragalus root, ashwagandha root, holy basil. And I'm led to believe that herbs such as your relaxant nervines or just your nervine trophal restorative could have some effect on the parathyroid. But again, I have to do more research on that. All right, so I had a question about, hey man, any tips or suggestions on what I could take to help remove mucus from smoking? I've been I've been off the plant for about 2 weeks now after using it every day, sometimes multiple times a day for around 2 years. So what could I take to help remove mucus from smoking? So the mucus isn't the problem. The residue from the smoking is the problem, or the residues are the problem. So the mucus is there to engulf or encapsulate whatever unwanted substance that is in the body to protect the tissues from that substance as the mucus is being transported out of the body, whether it be through your stools, through your urine, or through your respiratory system. So you want to get rid of those residues. The body is just doing what the body does and trying to protect itself. So number one, you want to make sure you're bringing balance to the lungs. And in doing that, you have herbs for the lungs, and you also want herbs for the adrenal glands. The adrenal glands is responsible for your autonomic nervous system's function. The autonomic nervous system plays a role in your lungs function. As I mentioned earlier, one of the key actions to focus on when looking to bring balance to the adrenal glands would be adaptogen. Now, an herb that can help to soothe the lungs is mullein leaf, excuse me, is marshmallow leaf. Mullein leaf will help to soothe the lungs as well as expel mucus, and it's also a neutral or energetically neutral. So if you have a hot condition of the lungs, you can take mullein leaf. If you have a cold condition of the lungs, you can take mullein leaf. So it's important to know the herbal energetics when dealing with the lungs. Also, you could focus on marshmallow leaf. It's a demulcent as well as expectorant as well, a soothing expectorant. And then the last herb I'll mention for the lungs is pleurisy root. Number 2. Cool. Yeah, thank you. What's up, Mano Wakari? How you doing? And then you have pleurisy root, great for pleurisy pain, or can help reduce pain in the lungs. It is a cardiotonic, diaphoretic, as well as expectorant. So cardiotonic can help to tone the heart muscle. Diaphoretic promotes sweating. Expectorant expel mucus. But most importantly, when you're talking about eliminating residues, uh, tobacco, marijuana, any type of addictive substance, you got to focus on promoting detoxification and moving lymph. And when you want to promote moving lymph, you have to focus on the skin and you have to focus on the kidneys. All right. And whenever you focus on the skin and the kidneys, you have to focus on the liver and you have to focus on the adrenal glands. So it's always holistic, just understanding how the body works together as one unit. So herbs to help promote the lymph, you have the herbal action known as alterative or lymphatic. And you always want to use caution when you're first introduced to lymphatics, because if you are using lymphatic herbs or moving the lymph before your kidneys are filtering, you could run into problems, nausea, rashes, etc. But it can be severe and well beyond detox symptoms. So if you want to use lymphatic herbs, you want to make sure you're pairing them with kidney herbs. You want the kidney filtration going. You want to promote sweating to help move lymph. And again, this is detoxing, trying to get rid of any addiction, even breads, which is basically fermented foods. What happens is breads or starches, we consume a lot of starches and overwork the adrenal glands, because now the adrenal glands can only metabolize so much sugar before it's like, I can't keep up anymore. And then you have things like moles growing. You always want to eat wheat, eat fermented foods, feel like you have to have them. In actuality, you don't. Or even combining your starches with protein. Starches are complex sugars. Proteins are complex amino acids. The body likes simplicity. So it's already stealing or stripping away or taking away a lot of energy from the body when you're consuming a starch or when you're consuming a protein. When you combine it to, it slows the function, the natural function of the digestive system down even further. Had to power up just then. And it's drawing more energy away from the cell's natural process or the cell's function. And so complex foods, complex carbs, complex amino acids, you could say, requires complex energy, or just more energy, the body using more energy to break this stuff down, versus simple sugars or carbs like your fruits and vegetables, or amino acids from your fruits and your vegetables, doesn't require as much energy. If anything, it's giving the body more energy than it's taken away from the body. So what happens is you have your body consuming all this energy to break down your starches and your proteins individually. You put them together. Now it's even more energy being taken away from the body or being used by the body to break this stuff down. Over time, you begin to experience malfunctions of the body: gas, nausea, headaches, rashes, constipation, hormonal problems, imbalances start occurring, because you're taking so much energy away, but you're not putting it back into the body. So it's this big old misconception about, carbs and starches being the same thing. And that's not true. Starches are complex carbohydrates and carbs or simple sugars. So starches are complex sugars and carbs are simple sugars: fructose, glucose, ribose, etc. So another herb for the lungs. So earlier I mentioned for the lungs, pleurisy root, marshmallow leaf, and another great herb for the lungs is hyssop. It is a stimulant, antispasmodic, carminative, expectorant, and sedative. So stimulant will stimulate cell function, antispasmodic, reduce spasms or calm the nerves, carminative, relieve gas, expectorant, expel mucus, and sedative can relax the nerves. So in more herbs for the nerves, in this case I put it under depression, but again, calcium utilization issue is just the body is like, yo, listen, I've tried to warn you that what you're consuming is taking a lot of energy away from me. You're not giving me what I need, so now I have to take what I need, in turn mess up your normal function. So again, when you're talking about, potential steps leading up to depression, you have the body either using water to help clean or remove acidosis in certain areas. You have the body using fats to help cushion or soothe the pain of of these states of acidosis in the body. And then lastly, you have the body stripping itself of calcium to help neutralize this state of acidosis. So you have to make sure you're giving the body what it wants to function properly. And we all know that's simple sugars. It wants simple sugars. That's what it immediately converts into ATP. So an herb that could help with, I'd say, giving you energy, not necessarily depression. But you have vervain. It is a antispasmodic, mild analgesic, and nervous system tonic, as well as a bitter and a minagogue. So antispasmodic, again, calm the nerves. Mild analgesic can mildly reduce pain. Nervous system tonic, strengthen the nerves. A bitter, promote the secretion of digestive juices, and a minagogue, promote blood flow to the pelvic area. And then Avena sativa, milky oat seed. This herb is slept on. I'm out. I'm out of the good stuff. All right. It is an overall nervous system tropho-restorative, is nutritive in cases of debility from anxiety, depression, and fatigue. It's also a cardiotonic and vulnerary. So cardiotonic, strengthen the heart. Vulnerary can heal the tissues internally and externally. Now, the guy, let's see. Yeah, so what herbs to use to heal high blood pressure and diabetes and clean lungs. So again, cleaning lungs, when you're talking about cleaning anything, you have to think lymphatic system. The lymphatic system is the sewer system. It is responsible for cleaning the cells. The blood is the kitchen. It feeds the cells. The lymphatic system is the bathroom or the sewer system. It removes waste from the cells. And if you're curious about what is in the lymphatic system, a very simple explanation is that the blood puts fluid into the interstitial spaces. So fluid, let's say it doesn't want. Once this fluid enters into the interstitial spaces, it's either feeding the cells or it is moving over into the lymphatic system. And that includes the waste from the cells. So essentially, the lymphatic fluid is made up of fluid from the interstitial spaces, which comes from the blood. I thought that was interesting when I found that out. So again, the high blood pressure and diabetes, kidneys and adrenals. Diabetes, sometimes you want to focus on the pancreas. So great herbs and herbal action to focus on with to increase pancreatic function would be bitters. An herb everybody should have access to is cinnamon. It's not necessarily a bitter, but it can help somewhat with pancreatic function. And then again, for high blood pressure, great herbs for the adrenal glands would be adaptogens, and great herbs for the kidneys would be your diuretics. I did pretty good today. I was actually looking at the camera. All right, more than enough time. I'm at my time mark. Yeah, if you want to support the podcast again, go ahead and head over to patreon.com/herbmant, patreon.com/herbmant. Centuria, what's going on? Yeah, I had to Had to get into it. I stream too, so when my show is done, I bring all my people. Oh, let's go, Z, with the 3. All right, yeah, that's what's up, man. Yeah, much appreciated, man. It's called raid when you bring your community to another stream. Ah, got it. All right. Yeah, no problem, Mike Black. Yeah. All right, yeah, Mike Black. Like I said, I'll add you on my list. I think the list is at about what? I think I've compiled about 50 questions. So what's going to start to happen is that I'm going to start sending people over to Patreon and sending me their requests there, because I'm only doing 2 questions per episode until maybe after episode 21 or 30. Then I start doing 3 to 4 questions per episode to speed things up. But all right, thank you all for joining the podcast. I am your host, Man T, and enjoy the rest of your day. Peace.
Spectate. Feeling real good. Feeling like I never knock on wood. Studying my health, I think you should. Be a better you every day, keep it true. I'm feeling real good. Feeling like I never knock on wood. Studying my health, I think you should. Be a better you every day, keep it true, and be held accountable for everything that you do. Be surrounded by the ones that are loving you. Growing never sink unless you sinking in the shot. While you in the 4th quarter and the haters sit and watch ya. They don't wanna move. They wanna sit and talk, never do. Don't you worry about them, strive to improve. And when they gunning for your queen, kinda move. They don't wanna move. They wanna sit and talk, never do. Don't you worry about them, strive to improve. And when they gunning for your queen, kinda move. I'm feeling real good. Feeling like I never knock on wood. Studying my health, I think you should. Be a better you every day, keep it true. I'm feeling real good. Feeling like I never knock on wood.